Welcome back to the show, Zach and Jake, for another season or episode of the NFL and the college football season. As the season's winding down for college football, I think we only got 3 more weeks. Jake, I know you have a lot of plays for this week, so get us started with the slate.
Yes, sir. So yeah, college football winding down. We are in week 12, I believe it is. First game on the slate, UCLA at Washington. So far, like in Washington in this one, they've looked pretty good at home. We're able to take USC out at home, so I'm trusting them to be able to beat UCLA, who I think is not quite as good as USC, but they have looked a little bit better the last few weeks. So, like in Washington this week.
Yeah, they've definitely been able to run the ball well with Jonah Coleman that came over from Arizona last season, and then Will Rogers at QB been slinging it. We've talked about UCLA a little bit. They don't have much going for them this year. QB super hit and miss, so I think Washington's a good bet.
Yep. And then second game, we got Houston going in to play Arizona. And we were kind of high on Arizona at the start of the season. Obviously, hasn't really played out that way. We're expecting that their offense would be able to keep them in games, but they just have not been able to do that. The Big 12 has been a definite struggle for them. So I'm liking Houston in this game. It's 4-5 versus 3-6. I think Houston on the road has actually looked decent. It's just been kind of a matter of the division they're in. So yeah, I'm liking them this week. I think if their defense can play any sort of defense and just stick on McMillan, then they should be okay.
Yeah, I'm interested in this one. I think it could be a high scoring game. They both kind of had bad offenses throughout the year, so I think the over-under was at 47. Um, Kind of shocks me because I feel like this could be a game where they both end up scoring a lot. So if anything, I was going to take the over 47.
Yeah, right on. I like that too. Both these offenses, obviously, if they get it going, can score a lot. So yeah, maybe even in the first half, I could see that happening. Um, then we got Oregon going into Wisconsin this week, our final away game before the Big Ten championship game. Hopefully, keep my fingers crossed. Obviously, on a good trajectory, but I'm taking Oregon minus 13.5. I think we're 14.5 point favorites, so I'm just going to buy that down a little bit. I do like the way our teams looked. I do think 2 touchdowns is a little bit of a lot against Wisconsin. But if we're able to do our film study, play our game, I think we should be able to cover that. But yeah, Wisconsin's always a tough place to play, so we'll kind of see how that happens.
Yeah, Wisconsin, tough place to play. They usually run the ball pretty effectively, and then I know they got a quarterback that's been there for a while. Don't really love them, but again, you said it's tough to play. Getting 14 and a half at home, I think I'd probably take Wisconsin with the points.
Yeah, fair enough. We've got Texas getting 13.5 point favorites on the road against Arkansas this week. I'm going to go ahead and stick with that. I do think that they're going to cover 2 touchdowns. Obviously, last week they had a really good week. I expect them to just kind of piggyback off that. That loss against Georgia was obviously a huge deal. Not good for them, but they have to win out. They have to win convincingly to be able to make it. Um, and their championship game is going to be a fun one too, especially if they can get in. But we'll see. I like them 13.5 this week for sure.
Yeah, Arkansas has been very hit and miss. Texas, yeah, just smoked. Quinn Ewers is looking really good again. Like I think it was Sark said, probably one of the best, if not the best QB in college football once he gets hot.
Yeah.
And that he was. I do think he's going to have to continue that the rest of the season to put him in a chance to win the college football championship. Obviously, being in that top four is kind of expected at this point. Yeah, I think they should have another big week. Arkansas isn't phenomenal. They can usually keep themselves in tough games for the first half, but second half is usually when the more dominant team comes out. So I think Georgia should cover that 14.
Or yeah, Texas, right?
Or sorry, Texas should cover that. Yeah, 13 and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Then we got Utah and Colorado. That's going to be a fun one. Obviously, Utah lost pretty much a heartbreaker against BYU last week on what was a pretty poor holding call, obviously. I feel like that's going to be talked about for the next few weeks. BYU should probably have a loss. But hey, they got away with it. They got a free call, and they were able to capitalize on it when they couldn't move the ball at all, especially. So that was actually pretty impressive. And on the road. So, yeah, Utah this week on the road against Colorado. Colorado obviously has a 17 next to their name now. They're looking pretty good, obviously, with Shador, Travis, Webster, Horn. Like, they've got a ton of wide receivers. They
Hmm.
fixed their offensive line. Their offensive line isn't as bad as it was last year. They're not great,
Yeah.
but they're still, giving Shador enough time to distribute the ball. That's really all that matters for that offense to keep them in games. Their defense still has a little bit to work on, but I do think they are improved from last season, and they definitely deserve to be in the top 25. I do like them at home in this game. I think they're going to be the much better team. Without Rising, Utah's going to struggle, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Now, granted, I don't know how Colorado is going to do against the run. I don't know exactly how they've done this season against the run, but I do think that their offense is going to be too much for Utah to handle.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in what this over-under might be because I don't think Colorado's going to be able to score much past 24, but I don't think Utah's going to be able to score very much either. I could see a 24-17, so if it's in that 48 to 50 range, maybe higher, I'd probably lean on the under, but Colorado should take care of business as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then we got Clemson going in to play Pitt. Now Pitt's lost a couple times the last few weeks. I think they're going to lose again. I like Clemson this week on the away. I do think that they're the better team here. This has a lot of ACC implications, so I expect them to win the big one here. Dabo's always been pretty good in the big games, so why not ride with them?
Yeah, I took the Clemson plus 850 to win the ACC 2 weeks ago. All it took was a Miami or SMU loss, and we got that last week. So I think Dabo's going to ride it out, take advantage of that opportunity. They got 3 games, tough games, I think, with South Carolina and Pitt still to go. But I think they take care of business. I don't necessarily love the 10, but I do feel like they end up covering the 10.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm on the money line, and then the 10 I may buy down, but I might look at that more live for sure too. Then we got Tulane going in to play Navy. Tulane's 8-2, Navy 7-2, two pretty good teams on paper. I do like Tulane in this one. I just feel like they're going to be the better offense overall. I feel like their offensive line is going to be able to push Navy around a little bit, and in terms of the defensive side, I feel like they have the better defense stacking up against Navy. So I am favoring Tulane here away.
Yeah, I like Tulane as well. We talked about it a lot last year. I love Maki Hughes. He's having a great season again this year, even though the QB is a little worse this year than Michael Pratt was. But I think they'll be able to run the ball effectively. They usually have a great run defense, and that's about all that Navy does. So I'm hoping Tulane goes in. It would be a good win for them on the road.
Yeah, for sure. Then we got Liberty, one of your alma maters, going into
Hmm.
UMass and playing Massachusetts this week. They're 14.5 point favorites. I believe it might be 13.5. Either way, I'm going to stick with it. I like them at 13.5, 14.5. I don't feel like UMass is that good. They're 2-7, I believe. So they don't have a whole lot going for them. I do like Liberty. They've looked not great this season, but they should be able to cover 2 scores.
Yeah, they've been rough, honestly. I think they lost back to backs. I think they just bounced back this week, but it was in a close game. I don't love the 14 and a half. UMass is pretty cheeks though, so I'll take it anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't love it, but I'll take Liberty minus 14.
Yeah, for sure. And if that one gets closer towards game time, I might buy it down to 9.5 as well, just because Liberty does have like some late fourth quarter slip ups where they only win by like 10. So we'll see how that plays out. Then we got
Hmm.
Oregon State going in to play Air Force. Oregon State obviously has been very rocky this season with a couple of really strange losses that I was not expecting. I do think they're going to take care of Air Force on the road. Air Force is 2-7. They are not a very good team. So I think Oregon State should be better than them. I'm honestly not too sure. But so far, from a team coming from the Pac-12, I expect that they should be able to get it done against a 2-7 team.
Yeah, I don't really have much of a lean on this one, so yeah. Oregon State got smacked last week,
Yeah, they did by San
so
Jose State.
yeah, so can't love it. But yeah,
But yeah, San Jose State's definitely looking pretty good this year. Then we got Nebraska and USC going into LA. Liking USC in this one, they're 4-5, I believe, so they need to get back to 500. Nebraska's 5-4. I don't think they're as good as their record shows. They just have a big advantage when they play at home. But yeah, I like USC in this one at home. I think Miller Moss is going to be able to distribute the ball pretty well as long as Lincoln's able to incorporate the run earlier in the game. I feel like they should be able to handle it.
yeah, I feel like USC is going to somehow be able to move the ball effectively and score on. I mean, I know that's a problem that Colorado had with Nebraska earlier in the year. Is that defense has been pretty solid. I don't think they really are giving up much more than 20 most of the time. I think Nebraska's gonna be able to move the ball because USC's defense isn't that good, but I could see definitely 27-20 or something like that. USC, I do think, comes away with a win.
Yeah, for sure. Then we got Baylor going into Morgantown playing West Virginia. I'm liking West Virginia this week too. 5-4 teams. West Virginia kind of started off really slow, and now they've kind of been on the up and up since. I'm not super high on them just because I know Baylor can score a lot of points when they want to. But at
Hmm.
home in Morgantown, that place will probably be rocking, especially if it's a night game. So I'm going to stick with West Virginia.
Yeah, I'll take him at home. Garrett Green's finally got him playing a little bit better football. He's kind of been hit and miss as the season goes on. Usually it's one of those things where he's pretty good at home,
Yeah,
but not great on the road. So that should be a fun one. Looking forward to see how the game plays out.
yeah, for sure. That environment's going to be wicked too. I love
Hmm.
Morgantown at night. Then we got JMU. I'm taking the -2.5 at Old Dominion. Don't have too much to say about that other than I think JMU is just going to be the better team and the better program, and even on the road they should be able to cover field goal.
Yeah, I think that win would put him at 9-2 after this week. Looking at another 10-win season after following up last year with Kurt Signetti. Obviously, seeing what he's done with Indiana this year, I think JMU is in good hands with what they got, though, and I do think they
Yeah,
get a win. I don't love the 2.5. I never really like 2-point lines, so I'll just take the money line.
yeah, fair enough. And then we got Mizzou going in to play South Carolina this week. That's going to be another really fun SEC matchup.
Yeah.
I'm liking Mizzou plus 13.5. Now, South Carolina's absolutely looked like a wagon the last few weeks, so it's really tough to say. But I do think Mizzou's defense is going to be able to keep him in this game. I don't think South Carolina's offense is all that much to ride home on. So as long as Mizzou's defense keeps him in it, they should be able to keep it within 2 scores and make this a fun one.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this one goes. 13 seems like a lot
Yeah.
at South Carolina. South Carolina's looked really good, like you said. And then on the other side, Mizzou's looked pretty bad.
Yeah.
They got Drew Pine in at quarterback the last 3 weeks. Obviously, I like Mizzou when they let Brady cook, but Drew Pine's a bum. He was a bum at I want to say it was Arizona State and then Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Um, so he hasn't looked good. Don't love it, but I'd probably take 14 points for that Mizzou team.
Yeah, fair. And then we got Boise State going in and playing that San Jose State team we were just talking about. Boise State's pretty much just got to keep their season on this trajectory. Obviously, as long as they keep winning, they should be able to make it into the top 12 playoff, which would be a huge, huge win for them. So for that to happen, I expect them to cover 13.5 on the road.
Yeah, I was gonna say they got dropped into I think the 13 seed this week after being in the
Yeah,
top 12 last week. So they need a win. I think they win by at least 10, so I'd probably buy it down to 10.
yeah,
But I definitely think, I mean, I still want JT to win the Heisman, so we'll see what happens.
yeah,
I know Travis Hunter's the favorite currently. But yeah, after a couple hundred last week, JT with another 200, a win, a significant win, I think would help his case as well. So covering 14, I could see happen.
yeah, definitely. And honestly, I wouldn't be upset if GT or Travis won the Heisman. I like them both. They're both incredible players, but GT's been on a Barry Sanders level season. It would be something else to see him win it. So that would be cool. Hopefully they can cover. Then we got a team that I've been super high on and love our old offensive coordinator, Arizona State, going in to play
Yep.
Kansas State.
Hmm.
Unfortunately for Kenny, I'm going to be on the flip side of the coin this week. I do like Kansas State at home in this one. The money line favorites at -340, so they are quite a heavy favorite. Um, Obviously, if it was with the points, I'd probably be looking at Arizona State, but I just don't think they're going to be able to get it done in the big one here. I don't know if their running back
Scatterboo.
Scatterboo played last week. I didn't
He
see
didn't.
him. Okay, so
He
I
was
don't know
out
if he's
last
going to
week.
play this week, and
I
that's
was
going to
wondering
pretty
that.
much determine everything. If I were to buy Arizona with the points, it would be with him playing, just because when he runs the ball, they take a lot of chunk of time off the clock, so that will keep them in the game. But if he doesn't play, I think Kansas State's going to roll him. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I like Kansas State. Avery Johnson usually plays well against not great teams. Arizona State is one of those 7-win but not great teams. So I think he could play well. DJ Giddens is a dog. And like you said, not sure if Scadaboo's playing. If he's not playing, Kansas State should cover. If Scadaboo's playing, I think it could be a close game.
Yeah, for sure. Then we got Tennessee and Georgia, 12 versus, or maybe 8 versus 12 here. Can't remember exactly where they line up
Something like
now.
that.
But Georgia's now lost twice, something we haven't seen in quite a few years. But hey, they're still a wagon in this game. They're 360 favorites going into Tennessee. I know Tennessee does have their quarterback back. They look a lot better, but personally, I just like Georgia. I just feel like these big away games that are must-win games, they always find a way to manage to win them.
Other than last week, because Ole
Yeah,
Miss smacked them.
yeah,
I was wild, was not ready for that, but I think they bounce back because if they don't, they're out of the college football playoff. Like it's simple as that.
and the
Yeah,
SEC championship, it's gonna be
yeah,
crazy if they lose.
yeah. So I definitely think Georgia's going to bounce back. Kind of shocked by the line going into Tennessee, but I think they take care of business, at least taking them on the money line.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, this has been something that I've seen more and more throughout the season. But I think I may touch Tennessee with the points in the first half. I do like buying them. I don't know if it's at like a touchdown or something. But Georgia obviously
Got
has been
four.
Georgia's been terrible in the first half. So if Tennessee can get an early touchdown, then they should be able to cover that. But yeah, that's what I like for that game. Then we got Cincinnati going in to play Iowa State this week. Cincinnati lost a tough one last week that I was not expecting them to lose, and I don't expect them to bounce back. Iowa State is a pretty good team, so I do see them winning this game against Cincinnati at home.
I think Iowa State's also lost back-to-backs also, if I'm not
Or
mistaken.
yeah, if not
At least one
one
of the
or
last two,
two of the
but
last three, maybe. Yeah,
yeah, so I think that I could see them keep spiraling, honestly. I don't know. I like Emory Jones in Cincinnati. Rocco Beck's been playing well with Iowa State, but I don't love him, so I might take Cincy with the points.
fair, fair. Okay, and then the last game on the slate, Kansas at BYU. BYU's back at home this week. They have to win out pretty much to make it into the playoff, get a little bit of respect on their name. So in order to do that, they have to win. I'm taking a money line at minus 150.
Yeah, another weird line. Last week's line was weird. Now this week's line is weird. It's Kansas, who is 3-6, and
Yeah,
it's a 3-point line at home for BYU, which means that they're expecting the game to be even.
yeah,
A home team gets 3 points. It's a 3-point line. Very strange. And I think it's just because they're undefeated and they're expecting a loss at some point.
yeah,
Not sure Kansas is the team to do it, but I'll tell you, I think I'm going to take the over in this game. Uh, I think that Kansas scores at least 24. I think BYU scores at least 24, 28. So I think over 50 is a good play in this one. Lavelle Edwards is tough to play, and so I would not bet against BYU. So I'll stick with an over in this one, and I do think BYU will win it, but I'm not going to touch the game.
yeah. Fair enough. And that kind of wraps it up for college football for this week. Let's transition over to the NFL. First game on the slate, Thursday night game. We got the Commanders going into play in Philly against the Eagles. I'm going to take the Commanders plus 3.5. I think I'm buying it up maybe half a point. I'm not sure exactly, but that's at minus 115. I do like the Commanders to bounce back this week. Actually, they won last week, didn't they?
No, they lost to the Steelers.
Oh, that's right. They lost on that late touchdown to Mike Williams. That's right. But yeah, no, I think they bounce back 3.5. I feel like they're going to give the Eagles a run for their money here, and the Eagles I think are 7-2 or 6-3, one or the other as well. So I feel like they're due to lose one, and Jaden's got that team playing, so I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, Eagles took back the lead in the division last week. They're now 7-2. Commanders are 7-3.
Okay.
It's in Lincoln on a short week, so I think if I had a lean, I would go with the Eagles money line. My lean actually is going to be on the over. I think both of these offenses are playing extremely well. Commanders are averaging 30. The Eagles are finally playing good on offense because they're running the ball between Jalen and Saquon and getting
Yeah.
Saquon still involved in the passing game. Haven't even seen much of AJ and Devontae this year, so they're only cracking the surface while 7-2. So I think over 48 is a good play in this game. I think that there's going to be a lot of scoring. I'm hoping there's a lot of scoring because that would make for a good Thursday night.
Yeah, for sure. And then we got the Ravens and the Steelers, another banger of a game to open us
Should
up
be
on
fun.
Sunday. 10 a.m. game. I'm liking the Ravens money line this week. The Steelers obviously got that late win against the Commanders last week, and I think that the Steelers are just due for a loss. Maybe a Russell Wilson tough game where he has maybe a pick. I don't see them running the ball well in this game, so we'll see. But I like the Ravens money line in this one.
Yeah, the Ravens are tough because they're dead last in pass defense this
Yeah,
year, but their rush defense is effective. Um, I can't really see them losing this to the Steelers, although I think it's in Pittsburgh.
yeah.
And Pittsburgh's now 7-2. So interested to see how it goes. I'm gonna take Ravens money line. I think they're actually 2.5, 3-point favorites on the road, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean it's crazy, but I do think that the Ravens here will hopefully have the better team. But we'll see. The Steelers' defense is never one to write off, so we'll see how they play. Then we got the Jags going in to play Detroit Lions. That's going to be a game. Let's just put it that way. But I'm taking the Jaguars plus 14. I just feel like 14 is way too much in the NFL. Obviously, the Lions have been covering the spread pretty much every week, so I feel like this is the book saying you're done, putting the hammer down. Like there's no shot that you're going to cover this. Obviously, that kind of makes me want to pick the Lions a little bit more, but just because it's so many points, I'm going to stick with the Jags.
Yeah, I'll take the 14 for the Jags. I kind of want to take the Jags money line, but we'll
It's
take the
probably like what
points.
plus 900 or something like that.
It's probably like 600, but I feel like the Lions are due for a loss. They should have lost to the Texans. It was literally
True.
halftime, and I was like, we were texting. We're like, they're gonna come back and win this, and
Yeah.
sure enough, that's what happened at the very end. Little controversial no call on the clear PI for the
Yeah.
Texans was tough, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, I'll take 14 for the Jags. I think they're kind of falling apart at the seams, but at the same time, Lions are due for a loss. Don't necessarily see it being this week, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, this could be just another classic Lions pull it out in the end win too. And if that's the case, then the Jags should be able to cover two scores.
I don't know
14
if
is just a
Trevor Lawrence
lot in
is
the
back.
NFL. Oh
Trevor
yeah,
Lawrence, I know he's out last week, and Mac
true.
Jones went in there, but either way, I don't think Mac's that much worse than Trevor. He just
Yeah,
didn't get the money.
yeah, exactly. Then we got the Rams going in to play the Patriots. Patriots had a nice win last week. I don't expect them to replicate that against this Rams offense that got a lot of their weapons back, including two, I think, of their offensive linemen, along with Puka and Cooper Cup. So that's pretty big for them. I'm going to take the Rams money line here against the Patriots. I just feel like they're going to be the better team. Their defense is playing really well. Jared Verse is super impressive. I expect him to win defensive rookie of the year. If not, maybe rookie of the year as well. If one of the quarterbacks doesn't get it, but I expect a quarterback to get it. But yeah, no, I like the way the Rams are playing right now. So I'm going to take them on the money line against the Pats.
Yep, I'm taking the same play. I don't love the points. I do think they'll probably end up covering it, but I'll just take the Rams with the money line.
Yeah, and then we got the Browns and the Saints, a game that we were kind of back and forth on before the podcast. Initially, I was on the Saints money line, but the more I think about it, I just can't pick a winner in this game, just because we got famous Jameis going against this old team and the Saints are pretty much just in shambles. So I can't really pick a winner. But we were talking about it more, and the under 43.5 just makes complete sense here. Two really good defenses when they play their game, so hopefully they both show up and shouldn't see that many points.
Yeah, definitely leaning on that under. It's one of those games where you never really know what's going to happen, so I probably wouldn't touch it because it could be
Yeah,
one of those games where it's 31 to 30 at half, and we're just like, well, that's tough.
yeah,
But two teams that aren't great. Jameis again coming back playing against the Saints kind of makes me want to lean on the Browns money line. But we'll go with under 43 and a half and call it a day.
yeah, right on. Then we got the Colts going in and playing the Jets this week. Obviously, the Jets are pretty much in shambles, even though they tried to rebuild their roster starting from the top at the coaching level. That really hasn't worked out for them, but the Colts are not a very good team. Their defense can be good, but I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up with the Jets offensively.
Yeah, I have no idea in this one because the Jets have looked terrible. I thought they'd go easily win versus the Cardinals and they got spanked.
Yeah,
Um, so I don't even know if I want to take them at home this week. I don't like the Colts. I like the Colts coaching. Obviously, Flacco shows up here and there. I'd probably go Jets money line, but I don't think I'd take the four.
yeah, no, I'm just going to stick on the money line at minus 200. I think that's the fair pick here. They've got the Vikings 6-point favorites on the road against the Titans. I'm a little back and forth, but I'm just going to stick with the Vikings minus 6. I feel like they should be able to cover that if Darnold plays a decent game. Their wide receiver and core has been incredible, and we were talking about recently that they just got Hawkinson back, so they should be on the upward trajectory now, even though their offense did kind of flatline there for a little bit. But yeah, I like a minus 6 here against the Titans.
Yeah, that was an impressive win for the Vikings team last week. I know everyone's going to see 12-7 on four field goals and be like, the heck is that? That's terrible. But I mean, they had three picks. Couldn't really get a lot going, had some penalties going, and they still pulled off a win at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Nothing really was going their way, hence all the field goals. turnovers, and they got a win. So excited to see how they continue to go because I think that was their seventh. They should be able to get an eighth playing against the Titans, who are pretty
Yeah,
trash.
yeah, for sure. Then we got Raiders. Sorry, we're not Raiden. Raiders going in and playing the Dolphins this week. Dolphins are at home. Raiders are in shambles. I don't know who's the quarterback of the Raiders at the moment, but I just think the Dolphins are going to be the better team here. Their defense is actually playing pretty well now, so as long as their defense plays well, their offense should run all over the field.
Yeah, exciting to see the Dolphins finally bounce back and get a win, which we kind of talked about last week.
Yeah,
Thought that they were going to come out and at least cover some points and have a good game. Got the win. Season's still alive.
yeah,
3-6. Got a lot of the season to go. 8 games to go. They could still be 11-6 and fight for the division. Starts with one at a time. They should be able to cover a touchdown against the Raiders, who are pretty bad.
yeah, for sure, and not a very difficult schedule for them to close out the season as well. So hopefully they can kind of get it in order. Then we got the Packers going into Chicago playing the Bears. Obviously, the Bears just fired their defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator. I think it was, can't remember which one. Offensive
I didn't
coordinator, I
see
think it
that.
was. I think Caleb's gonna have a new play caller this week, so it'll be interesting to see. I know he's taken a ridiculous amount of sacks over the last like 2 or 3 weeks, so that's something they're definitely looking to improve upon. I do like the Packers. I think that they kind of own the Bears just in general. I think Jordan Love's a really good quarterback. He's still got a little bit of progression and maturation to get through, but I feel like overall he's just going to be in a really good spot in this game, and this should be a sure win for the Packers.
Yep, definitely like them on the money line. Probably the 6 points. The Bears have kind of been in shambles. Obviously, Caleb got sacked 9 times last week alone,
Yeah,
and then the firing the coordinator. So we'll see how that goes. Packers going into Chicago. It's going to be a tough environment, obviously divisional, but Packers should take care of it.
yeah, for sure. Then we got the Falcons, 3.5 point dogs going into Denver and playing the Broncos. You and I are on a little bit opposite sides, not exactly opposite, but I know you like the Falcons to cover. I like the Broncos money line. I'm just going to talk about it. I like the way Bo Nix is playing, man. I think he, for sure, him and Jaden, obviously Jaden's pretty much like, if not Lamar, I think Jaden's probably the MVP. But if it wasn't for Jaden, I think Bo for sure would be up there for Rookie of the Year. I feel like he's filled the void in Denver really well. Their defense has played really well. Obviously, they should have won last week against the Chiefs, who were undefeated, and they lost on a blocked field goal, which was, it just came down to one lineman not blocking. That's pretty much what that play came down to. So I really like the Broncos. I think they're on the upward trajectory. I feel like Bo is starting to kind of get his footing and really understand how that team's going to operate and work under Sean Payton. So I do like them at home this week against the Falcons.
I can't imagine the Falcons losing another one. So kind of feel like they're going to pull it off, but if I'm getting points, I'll take them. So 3.5 points on the road. Even if they lose by 3, I think they keep it close.
Yeah, for sure. Then we got the Seahawks and the Niners, a game that's already been played once in Seattle. The Niners were able to cover that game. They're 6.5 point favorites at home here. They have McCaffrey back. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be able to cover a touchdown here.
I'll buy it down to 5, but I'll take it. I mean, we took it last time in Seattle. We were all over it. They were up massive and then kind of let a comeback come and still ended up pulling it off by 12. I think they should be able to cover at home. Obviously, you mentioned CMC's back. Kittle's been having a great season. Jawan, Debo, everyone, they're getting healthy. Greenlaw, Hufanga, I think are going to be back as well. So
Yeah, and honestly, I would look at them to make like a deep playoff run if you can get that plus money way early right now. If the Niners can get it together in the next 3 or 4 weeks, then they for sure should be ready to make a deep run. Then we got the Chiefs against the Bills. That's probably going to be the game of the week. Kind of back and forth as well on this one. I like the Bills money line. I feel like the Chiefs are just due for a loss, and what better time to come than in the freezing cold in Buffalo in November. Josh Allen's been playing amazing. I don't know when he's going to get engaged to Haley Steinfeld, but I'm extremely jealous because that's my girl. So good for him. But yeah, I like Josh Allen and the Bills this week on the money line. They're at minus 135.
yeah, if I'm getting the Chiefs with plus points, I'm going to take it. So I'll take +3 for the Chiefs. That's all I got to say. I don't like them. I'm waiting for their downfall, but it's not here yet. So
No.
we'll take the
Yeah.
points.
Yeah, for sure. It feels like it's safe for sure in this game. Bengals money line at the Chargers. I feel like the Chargers 6-3 just it's just not quite kind of representing of where they're at. I feel like they're still missing a couple key pieces, especially on the offensive side of the ball. they have been getting a lot of Lad McConkey going, some Quentin Johnston going. So there is a lot of guys that are starting to get, in touch with Herbert, but I still feel like they're just missing a true wide receiver one on that team. I do like the way J.K. Dobbins has been running the ball. So I do think that they have a lot of things to look forward to, but they are missing that one piece in the offense. And for that reason, I think that the Bengals are going to be able to take care of business on the road here in LA.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take Bengals with the points. Again, probably buy it up to that 3 mark because I am on the money line as well. But Chargers have been playing well. They keep finding ways to win, and that's just Harbaugh with
Yep.
good play calling, good defense, keeping the defense rested with the offense, running it, getting slow first downs, and moving the ball slowly down the field. Um, yeah, the Bengals had another shootout, which was fun with Baltimore. They're not good. Their defense is bad. But I think they should be able to get a couple takeaways this week due to the lack of weapons and maybe space creation on the offensive side for the Chargers.
Yeah, and the Chargers do have random games where they just can't punch the ball in the end zone, so they'll kick like 5 field goals. So if that's the case, then the Bengals should be able to take them down. And then the final game of the week, obviously not one we're too excited about, Texans at the Cowboys. The Cowboys are probably bottom three in the NFL at this point, I would say, if not bottom five. They just can't do anything on either side of the ball, really. It's nice to have Micah back. It's nice to have Overshawn play really well. But it just feels like this team just needs a complete rebuild from top to bottom. And it may be this year for sure that we see Mike McCarthy go. Dak may end up on another team next season. I don't know. We'll see. But I do think Texans -6.5 in this one is for sure a lock. With them losing to the Lions last week, I expect they're going to want vengeance. And this is a team that they know they're going to come in and be able to handle. So I think they're going to take a Cowboys for a long run here this week.
Yeah, interested to see the bounce back for the Texans after blowing it. I think they start hot. The Cowboys, obviously, the only team who haven't won a home game this year. I think it continues. I don't think they're good. We talked about it all season. Um, Micah obviously came back quick with 2 sacks. That was good to see. But I think Trey Lance is going to play, and he's ass. So that's exciting because at least they're going to give him a shot, and hopefully we'll just keep losing. I mean, we're definitely bottom team in the league, and I think we're still like 11th right now in draft position. So we got to lose a few more. Um, Panthers are like the hottest team in football right now, 2 win streak. So if they win one more, they'll take their way out of the top 10 in picks. So that's smart. Tepper needs to sell the team, but so does Jerry. So
Yeah.
Texans are going to cover 6.5, I think, on the road in Dallas.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode of the podcast. Thank you guys for all tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you could hit a like, subscribe, and maybe send us a little comment, let us know what you'd like to see. And until next week, have a great weekend. Enjoy some of these picks, and we will see you then.
Yep.
Peace.
So yep.